official guest speaker, I'm inviting all nurses, especially to the upcoming NJO Nurses Week virtual celebrations, coming up between the 7th and 13th of May 2022. It promises to be fun and insightful. Guess what? There's something for all category of nurses, be it student nurses, clinical and non-clinical nurses as well. To be a part of this important event, kindly follow at NJO Nurses across all social media platforms. Gorban Agot, thank you. See you there. Bye. I'll be talking about why Ireland myths versus facts. True. We've done the first part of it. Can you hear me? Am I loud enough?
Yeah, you're loud enough. I can hear you clearly.
Okay, thank you. So apparently we've done the first part of it. So this is just like a part 2 of the previous slides, of the previous meeting rather. So come with me. So welcome to part 2 of the Ireland immigration series for nurses. At this point, there's a need to sound a note of disclaimer. The next slide. There's a need to sound a note of disclaimer. This presentation is not intended to promote brain drain among African nursing workforce. Participants who are keen on career progression outside the shores of their countries are also encouraged to visit the appropriate website for comprehensive information. So we're not doing this to encourage all nurses to move so that Nigeria or our countries can be empty, because we also discovered that sometimes we need this international exposure. Some of us need to come out to see how it's being done in other countries so that we can use that experience and knowledge to better our healthcare back home. So now we need to kind of do a reminiscence over the previous meeting, the first meeting we had. I just want to bring to our remembrance some of the basic things we said in the meeting. So Ireland at a glance, in that meeting, I talked about Ireland, the capital is Dublin, the population now is 5-point-something million. That's as of Friday, May 6, 2022. And based on worldometer elaboration of the latest United Nations data, the languages English and Irish. It's a republic. The head of government is called a Taoiseach, and that is Michael Martin. The head of state is President Michael D. Higgins. The currency is euro. The flag is a tricolor of green, white, and orange. And the emblem is harp. The national day is May 17, which is known as St. Patrick's Day. Also, just to bring to our remembrance again, part of the things we said in part 1, we've mentioned quite a number of things about Ireland. We said Ireland is safe and welcoming. According to the Global Peace Index of 2020, Ireland is one of the top 15 safest countries of the world. And presently, according to the Central Statistics Office, April 2021, about 1 in 8 residents in Ireland are non-Irish. That's about 12.9% of the population are non-Irish. So they are actually welcoming. We talked about the economy, that Ireland has a dynamic economy. Someone is saying I can't hear anything. I don't know.
Guys, if you can hear Bukola and myself, can you drop a comment in the chat box that yes, you can hear us? Yes, I think they can hear us. So
okay.
yeah, so Bukola, continue. Thank you.
Okay, so when we talked about the economy, that Ireland has a dynamic economy because it's not just based on tax. They also do a lot of agriculture, livestock farming, crop production, and the rest. So it's easier to get fresh foods because they do a lot of farming here. And then we talked about the weather, the usual 4 seasons, spring, summer, autumn, and then winter. We talked about the tax system, that the tax system is presently 20% and 40%. A portion of your income is taxed at 20% and the remainder 40%. When you come in and you register with the revenue, you get a tax credit certificate. So you have all these in details. We talked about education, that Ireland values education, especially for children, that primary and secondary school education is free for children. We talked about social life, that's against the belief that Ireland is boring. It depends on you the Irish people have their social life. Music, dance, cinema, theater, sports are part of Irish culture, and they don't joke with their pub life. We said Guinness is the home, Ireland is the home of Guinness, so they have a good social life as well. We talked about healthcare in the last meeting as well, that presently maternity services and childcare services up to age of 6 is free in Ireland. We talked about pay also, that nurses in Ireland are one of the highest paid in the world, as a matter of fact, among the top 10 countries. And I think we also talked about the Irish passport, that it's a very strong passport. It's number 5, currently ranked number 5, along with countries such as France, Netherlands, Portugal, and Sweden. And with it, you can access 187 countries. We talked about pay, okay? So those are the basic things we said in the first meeting. So I just want to run through some other things that are also important. Language requirements. There are so many things I've heard about language requirements for Ireland. I even saw something somewhere that someone said, oh, with 6.5, you can go to Ireland. Actually, the language requirements is just a minimum of 6.5 in any one component, then overall of 7. It means you can have your 6.5 either in listening, reading, writing, speaking, any of it, but it has to be just one. Then the rest you can have, the rest has to be 7, so overall of 7. So for someone that has 8.5, 8.5 and 2 6.5, it's not going to enter Ireland, so just 1 6.5. So I want us to get that clear. And if it is OET as well, you can have a minimum of grade B in 3 components and a minimum of C+ in any one component. So that is the language requirements, and there is no more, no less to that, as against what people have been saying. Now, I just want to do a summary of the registration process again. For the registration process, it starts with logging into my NMBI, because now it is no longer manually driven. Previously, you have to send your documents by courier, but now you can do it online. You just need to get some documents, notarize your documents and upload it, and then you can track your status. So the first thing is to log into my NMBI. Then when you log in, you create an account as a new user, you fill in your details. Then it will take you to a page where you have to answer a series of questions. The question will classify you either to G1, G2, or G3. So for most of us coming from outside Europe, we are G3, that is our class. And then after then, you get to see a list of required documents that you have to present. So those documents are the documents you have to get from here and there, your transcript from your school, some forms you have to take to your employer, your verification from Nursing Council, and a whole lot of other documents. So, and some of them you have to notarize them. So once you get the documents ready, you upload and you get them notarized, those that needs to be notarized, and you upload the documents, then you pay a recognition fee of 350 euros. The process is actually divided into 2, recognition and registration. The recognition is from your home country, while the main registration is when you come into Ireland finally. So when you pay the 350 euros, then the assessment phase starts. The NMBI, after receiving all your application, please, let's move to the next slide. It's still showing language requirements. The next slide. Okay, yeah, thank you. So after receiving all your documents and you have paid the 350 euros, then they'll go through the documents which you have sent. It goes through 2 stages: administrative assessment and educational assessment. The administrative assessment is they'll check the documents. Are they valid? Where they need to confirm some things, they will confirm. Are they okay? That's the administrative assessment. Are they complete? Then after then, they do an educational assessment. The educational assessment is where they compare the standard, the theory and the practical hours of your courses in your own country. They compare it with the Irish standard. That is educational assessment. Then after then, they come up with a decision letter. The decision letter now will either be, qualifications are provisionally recognized. That's the first one. Or you need to complete a compensation measure. And this is usually for those of us coming outside of Europe, mostly from Africa. We usually do compensation measure for general nurses. It's usually either adaptation or aptitude test, which is the exam. But for post-basic courses like midwifery, like mental health and the rest, it's usually adaptation. And surprisingly, there are some qualifications that don't need to do anything. Example is those who are mental health nurses, especially for those who studied their mental health nursing in big hospitals like World Health Organization collaborative centers. Like for Nigeria, I know about Neuropsychiatry Hospital, Abeokuta, Neuropsychiatry Hospital, Kaduna, all those big hospitals, those that study their mental health nursing there, and they also works there with considerable number of years of experience. They don't get to do any adaptation. They give them straight registration. They get their registration directly. All they need to do is just to pay the registration fee, and then they are registered. They don't do anything. But mostly for general nurses, we need to do either adaptation. Once they find you, they find you fit or eligible, then you either come in to do an adaptation, which usually takes 6 weeks, or you write the aptitude test, which is both the theory and the practical. Both the theory and the practical is usually done here in Ireland. Then after you complete the exam and you are successful, then you register with the Nursing and Midwifery Board of Ireland. You pay a fee of 145 euros to get registered, and after then you get your certificate, and that means you are a paid nurse. You're an Irish paid nurse. That is just a summary of the process. And then I had to put the pay scale again, because we mentioned it in the previous meeting. That's the part one. I talked about the pay scale. I just brought out this part of it because I know many of us are coming in as staff nurses or midwives, or probably at the end of the day we might get dual qualified. So I just brought out that part. So for staff nurse or for a staff midwife, this is the current pay scale, and this is from the Irish Nurses and Midwives Organization. That's the union for nurses and midwives. So it depends on your level of experience. For 1 year experience, starting from, if you look at staff nurse midwife, it is 31,109 euros per annum. That is the gross. And then if you are 2 years, just like that, you keep moving and moving and moving. So your level of experience counts in Ireland. If you have many years of experience, they will base your pay on your level of experience, verifiable years of experience. If you can verify it that yes, you have those years of experience, then you'll be paid based on that. So that is one good thing about Ireland. And then another thing is, if you eventually get dual, you get qualified, you become a dual qualified nurse, probably a nurse midwife, nurse mental health nurse, or pediatric nurse, you also have something to show, like your pay will also reflect based on the fact that you are not just a registered nurse, you also have additional qualifications as well. Then we have for clinical nurse managers and the rest. So now, what are the updates? What are the things that we need to also know newly? One thing is there is improved processing timelines. Before, a lot of people complain about the process as being very long and tedious, but for now, the processing timelines have improved, at least to an extent, because previously it is done manually, you send by courier. But when my NMBI came into the picture and you have to do it, you can do it online, the processing timelines have improved. Now, some people get their DL within 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, if there are no queries, if all your documents are complete and they are satisfied. A lot of people get their DL, unlike before, when some of us have to wait like 1 year, 2 months, 3 months, and even up to 1 year and 6 months, 1.5 years for a lot of people to get their decision letters. So now the timelines have improved because of the online process that was started. So I just put another slide to show to show you that this is coming from the NMBI. This is from the applicant's guide, G3. According to them, the overall processing timeline should even be like 4 months approximately. But because of a lot of factors, which I'm still going to discuss, we usually have some delays, especially from Nigeria. So I'm going to discuss that, but normally it shouldn't take more than 4 months for you to get your decision letter. That is the official timeline from the NMBI. Now, so for also part of the updates I want to mention is the fact that nurses are in very high demand now in Ireland. Unlike before, that a lot of people get their decision letters. The next slide. The next slide. Okay, thank you. So before, a lot of nurses get their decision letters and they don't get jobs. Sometimes the decision letter expires and there is no job. for those who got their decision letters before COVID, a lot of people had their decision letters expired in their hands. And for me personally, when I got my IELTS results and I was calling or trying to find out about job, even from Nigeria, I called an agency in Ireland and they told me point blank that the jobs they have, they are reserving it for those who have decision letters. So as at that time, there were no jobs. But after COVID came, the demand became very high. So now there are jobs. As I'm talking to you now, a lot of nurses they don't even have their decision letters yet, but they are already in the process. Some of them are in education assessment required stage or education assessment complete stage, and they already have 3, 4, 5 jobs. A lot of people have job offers that now they are comparing, just like it was in the UK, that there was this job boom that everybody, I have this, I want to compare which one is better, which one should I go for. That is how it is currently in Ireland now. There are jobs, people are even like comparing unlike before. So if you are considering Ireland, I think this is the best time, because I know it won't be like that forever. After some time, it might go back to the norm that there won't be jobs. But for now, jobs are in high, the nursing jobs are in high demand. Then another update I want to give is this has always been there, but probably a lot of people don't know that you can do multiple registration at once. Like when you are registering from Nigeria, you can, with your 350 euros, you don't have to pay extra. If you are doing it at once, you can decide to register as a nurse. If you have the certificate from Nigeria, as a midwife, as a public health nurse, or as a nurse, as a mental health nurse, as a pediatric nurse, if you have it, just you can do the registration at once. And if you didn't remember to do it, probably when you were doing the first registration, if it is still within 7 days of starting it, you can still add it. But after 7 days of starting the registration, if you don't add it, then you want to add it later, you have to pay. Then another thing is, if you come into the country and you want to get registered in another division, you can start the process all over again. But as a matter of fact, you can do it together from Nigeria, just that you get a decision letter for one before you get for the other. For those who want to register as nurses and midwives, they will get decision letter as a nurse first, as a general nurse first. Then when they come in, they can continue the rest of the process to also get registered as midwives. While those who are mental health nurses, most times mental health nurses get the decision letter together, because sometimes some of them don't need to register, they don't need to do any adaptation or exams again here. So some of them just come in to do the exams or adaptation for their general nursing, but they get registered directly from Nigeria. And for those who have to do adaptation, they get their decision letter mostly at the same time. I don't know why, but that is for mental health nurses. But for midwives, you have to register as a nurse first, as a general nurse first, before you can register as a midwife. Now, I want to talk about delays. A lot of people complain about delays, that the process is long, there are delays here and there. Now, what are the things leading to these delays? Because these are part of the things that I get questions, direct questions from people about, that why the delays. Number one, the delays usually come from applicants' errors. Most times we cause the delays. And how do we cause the delays? Number one, a lot of people make mistakes in their names. There are so many people in that category now. Probably they have 2, 3 names, and the names are not properly arranged in all their documents. Some people, in some documents, their first name and their middle name and their surname, that is how they arrange it. But in some document, their second name is coming first before the first name, before the surname. So the names are not properly arranged or correctly arranged, or it's not uniform in all their documents. And when NMBI receives this kind of document, then they start querying it. Why is your name different here? Why is your name not arranged the same? So I mentioned in the first video that Ireland is very meticulous when it comes to the registration process. They usually query everything. They check even to the minutest details. That is how meticulous they are. So if you are considering Ireland, you need to also be very meticulous and careful about your documents. If your names are not properly arranged in your documents, you need to make sure you correct that before you start the process. Another thing is, a lot of people make mistakes even in their date of birth. A lot of people are in this category, and that is what is delaying their process as well. Some people, the date of birth they have in one document is different from what they have in the other document. And when you submit all this, they are checking it, they're assessing it, they're looking at it, they're looking at every details of what you submit. So they will spot it out and they will keep querying you. And the more you keep receiving queries, the more the process gets lengthens, or the more the process elongates. So some of these mistakes are from the applicant. Another thing is mistakes with employment details. A lot of people make mistakes even with their details, their employment details. The date they wrote that they started working is like they started working before they registered with the nursing council. Some people have that kind of document. Like they started working, let's assume they started working in 2015 and they registered with the nursing council in 2017. Then NMBI will start asking you, how are you able to work without, before you register or without registering with the nursing council? So you have to start explaining. A lot of people are also in this category because people make a lot of mistakes that usually make the process. So, and you can be on this query for 6 months, sometimes 7 months, 8 months, because it's not just one person who assesses your document. They move it from one person to the other. So if this person is not spotting it, the other person will spot it, and then they will start issuing you queries. And once you keep on receiving queries, the process keeps dragging. Then delays in responding to queries. Please move it to the next slide. Delays in responding to queries. The next slide. Yeah, delays in responding to queries. A lot of people also delay in responding to their queries. Once they send you a mail asking you to explain something or send something, some people don't send it on time, some people don't respond on time, and that keeps the process long. It keeps it long, and then you just remain on that spot for a very long time. And then you start wondering, why is the process long? Why is it delayed? Now, another point is regulatory body bureaucracy. This one is also a whole lot for many people. A lot of people are in this stage and they're having issues. Delays or errors from educational institutions. This is just numerous. Sometimes when your school sends your transcript, it is not detailed. Your transcript is supposed to contain not just your grades, but also your number of theoretical and practical hours for all your courses. But some schools don't have that kind of transcript. So NMBI wants to see how many hours you spent for your theory, for your theory classes. For each course, your med-surg and other courses, FON, they want to know how many, because they want to compare it with their own standard. But it's quite shocking that some schools up to today, they don't have that kind of transcript. So NMBI will keep asking that the transcript is not complete. They need to send the correct one, and then you keep dragging and dragging on that. Another one is employers. Your employment form, sometimes when you take it to your employer, to where you are working, they don't fill it correctly. They don't put in the details that are required. So they keep querying you, and then this keeps dragging the details, the process as well. Now, the big one is the nursing board of the applicant's country. For those of us that are from Nigeria, this is usually a big problem. Sometimes our verification doesn't get sent from the nursing council. You can be on verification for 6 months. You can be on verification for 8 months sometimes. So it makes the process really long for a lot of, because if they don't get those information, if they don't get your documents complete, they won't start your assessment, or they won't complete your process. They won't finish with the educational assessment. And once the educational assessment is not completed, you can't get your decision letter. So these are the things that leads to delay for a lot of people. Now, how do you avoid these unnecessary delays? The next slide. Now, I just said preparation is the key. To avoid unnecessary delays, you need to prepare. How? It means now that the process is online, it's quite easier. You can create an account, but don't pay that 350 euros yet. Before you pay the 350 euros, create the account, have your page. Now, copy out all the documents you need to get ready. Get your documents ready first. That is what I tell people now. Don't just get one document or two documents, upload it, and then pay. They will start assessing you. And once they start assessing you, you start receiving queries. Some people started, probably someone started last week, and then the next week, queries started coming in because the documents are not complete. Then they'll start asking, where is your transcript? Where is your this? Where is your that? So the best thing now to do is create an account. If you are really interested, you are ready, you have the IELTS requirements, create an account, get all your documents ready. The documents you need to notarize them. The one you need to download, because there are some documents you need to download from the page, take to your employer, to your educational institution. Make sure you get everything ready. Then make sure you also apply for your verification with the nursing council. Get the tracking ID. Ensure that it is already delivered to the NMBI before you pay the 350 euros. Once you get the tracking ID from the from the Nursing Council, and you can see that the verification has reached the Nursing Board of Ireland, then pay your 350 euros, because by then it means all your documents are complete in their hands. So once they start the assessment, you won't have so much queries that we are expecting this or we're expecting that. The only queries you might receive is if your document, you make mistake in maybe your date of birth or your names, as I explained earlier. But if you don't have all those things, there are no mistakes in your documents and everything is straightforward, you don't need to have any delays. So that's why I said some people now are getting their decision letter within 3 months, 6 months, 4 months. In fact, there's a peculiar case of somebody that got decision letter in 1 month. I've never heard that before, and that's the only one I've heard, and I've not heard any other one aside that. That means the person must have really done her homework very well. She made that means she made sure that everything was ready and nothing was lagging behind. So it's possible for you to get everything done without any delay if you can take note of these errors I've highlighted and make sure that you work on them before you make your payments, and then the process starts fully for you. Now, I want to talk very quickly about family visa. There's a message from someone talking about family visa that, oh, Ireland is good. The person chatted the NGO up and told NGO that Ireland is good but not family friendly. So that's the reason why I want to talk about family visa. I mentioned it in the first part of the video that one of the downsides of Ireland process is you don't get to come in with your family. I actually mentioned 2 downsides. I talked about housing, that housing is quite an issue, especially for those in Dublin, but for those in the countryside, in other counties, they don't really have much issues with housing, unlike those in Dublin. Now, the other thing I mentioned was family visa, that because you can't come in with your family for Ireland, you have to come in first, write the exams, pass the exams, then you get what is called the critical skills employment permit. It is when you get that critical skills employment permit, you can now start applying for your family. So for you to get the critical skills work permit, you come in within, after passing your exams, normally within 2 to 3 months, you get your critical skills work permit. So that means maximum, that's if nothing is delaying you, if you're able to get it within 3 months, within 3 months of your arrival is when you can start processing for your family. Now, if you look at this document here, it says joining a non-EAA or non-Swiss national. That's for those of us that are non-Europeans. We are in category A of family visa. And that's number 1, critical skills employment permit holder. That is where nurses fall. That is the category nurses fall into, because we usually have our critical skills work permit once we come in. Now, there's something in the next document. I brought out this, I extracted this from the Irish immigration website, so that I will not be speaking from my head. I'm talking about something that is official. If you look at the paragraph 2, it says you can expect that your application will be dealt with within 6 months of receipt of all your required documentation. That means officially you should bring in your family within 6 months of you applying, of you giving them all the information they need. But that is what is official with Ireland. But if you now bring it back to our own country, because when you say Ireland is not family friendly, we cannot say that because it is not for all countries. It is only peculiar to those of us coming from Nigeria and Ghana. If you look at people from other countries, India, for instance, and some other countries, they bring in their family easily. But it is peculiar to us. I don't know what the issue could be, probably because it is only the embassy in Ireland that in Nigeria that is serving Nigeria, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, and Senegal. They're serving 4 countries. Probably that is, I really don't know. But the timeline, the process getting long, bringing in your family is actually only for Nigerians and probably Ghanaians. Now, the next slide says, if you look at the paragraph 2, it says you can check the processing times for the visa office, embassy, or consulate that is handling your application on their website, meaning officially it is 6 months, but it also depends on the visa office or the embassy that is handling your own application. So that is why you see that some countries, theirs is faster, but for other countries like Nigeria or Ghana, it's very long. It's in fact, some people don't get to bring their family in until like a year. But there are people that are able to bring in their family at 7 months, at 8 months of application. But it is only peculiar to Nigeria and Ghana. And currently, we nurses in Ireland we're really concerned about it. and we're thinking of doing something about it. Sometimes someone even brought up an idea for us to come together as a group, and then so that they can visit the Minister for Justice, visit decision makers and policy makers that can help us in this regard. Because earlier in the year, the Indian Prime Minister visited the NMBI and spoke to them. So these are the things that some of those countries do to help their nationals, to help their own citizens. They visit, they do all those, they engage in all those diplomatic ties so that it can help their countrymen, their people. But probably we don't have that. Everybody is still on their own for now. So we tried, somebody brought up the idea and a group was formed for us to be able to do something. But surprisingly, when people were asked to submit their details, people submitted details, and after some time when they said, okay, we want to do this, we want to stage a peaceful protest, we want to tag this person on social media, then people started backing out. I don't know, probably it's the Nigerian factor. I don't want problem, oh, I don't want any issues, oh, I don't, no, you know, the Nigerian factor came in. And at the end of the day, something that we are supposed to do as a group, only 2 or 3 persons were ready. So what will 2 or 3 persons push for? So the idea was dropped. And then the person who brought up the idea, fortunately for him, his family got the visa that same, I think last year, December. So that was the end of it. So that is the issue we're having at the moment. So it is very important for everyone to know that this is peculiar to Nigeria. It is not all countries. So we cannot say that Ireland is not family friendly because a particular country has issues. The country has to deal with their issues. Now, what is the way out? The way out is if you think, okay, you are interested in Ireland and you don't want to leave your family, you can be going to visit your family. Once you have all your documents, you have your Irish residence permit, you can actually be going to visit, you can go to Nigeria and visit your family. Another thing is if your family is not in Nigeria, that is where the issue is. If you are bringing your family from another country, they will come in without any delay. But so far your family is in Nigeria, that is where the issue is. So that is the area everybody needs to look at, that why Nigeria? But then we don't have any answers to that for now. But if you know that you can move your family to another country, that is going to be quite easier to bring them in from there, fine. If you can't do that, you can go and visit your family, you can go and come until when their visa is ready. Now I attached another document for family visa. There's a policy document, a 71-page policy document on family visa. You can go through it. You can check online, Irish Immigration, go through it. What's the need for family visa? What's the normal things, the official things, not what people are saying about family visa, so that you have an idea of what it is about. So that is that about family visa. So with this little presentation and talk, I want to say Happy Nurses Week to every one of us. If we don't appreciate ourselves, nobody will. So let's appreciate ourselves as nurses. We do a lot, but we get little to show for it. Probably our reward is in heaven like teachers. But then, thank you to all nurses and thank you to everyone who is here today. Thank you for listening.
Bukola, thank you once again for the presentation. Okay, so Mimi, you can ask your question. I'll just unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, good evening. Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. I want to ask about, my question is basically on the area of family visa. I want to ask if you are there and maybe you have kids and can you bring them into school? Can you like pay school fees for them and they come through there in case you have kids that will like come and be in higher? I don't understand. Is it possible? Before you start processing for them to get visa, can they come in through school? Since you are there and you wish to enroll them in school or something and pay their school fees so that they can come and start. That's my question.
All right, thank you for the question. Bukola, how about you? Bukola, are you there? Bukola, I guess she's... I'll just try and unmute her.
Yeah. So if for higher institution, if you have children, you want to enroll in tertiary institution, you can bring them in. Some people are even proposing to bring their spouses, their husbands in through study visa. So they'll be studying while they'll be processing. So it's possible if you have children, you want to enroll in higher institution, you can bring them in to study, and while they are studying, you can be processing their visa, the family
Okay.
unification. Yeah.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right,
Thank you very much.
Okuli, you can ask your question now. Okuli, you fine. Okay, so Mohammed, you can ask your question now. Mohammed Abdullahi.
Good evening, all. My name is Abdullahi Mohammed, calling from Zamfara State. All right, my first question is, please, for the registration process, would there be need for writing a CVT test? That's my question.
Okay. Okay, so for Ireland, the theory exam is usually done here in Ireland. It's not done from Nigeria. So when you come in, once you have your DL and you're able to get a job from Nigeria, you're booked for exam, you come in here to write it, because the theory is done like on a Saturday and the OSCE is done on a Sunday. So just 2 days. So you don't do the theory. That's the CBT you're referring to from Nigeria. You do it here in Ireland as well.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah.
All right. Sambo, you can ask your question now.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Nurse Bukola, and thank you for the presentation. I want to ask, I once read somewhere they say diploma nurses are not given critical work permit visa. Instead, they are given general visa where they will not be allowed be able to bring in their spouse within that period of 3 to 6 months or thereabouts.
Okay, you mean diploma nurses, those are finished from School of Nursing. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
No, there's no discrimination between those who finish from School of Nursing and those who are graduate nurses. It's the same pathway for everybody. It depends on you. If you're a graduate nurse, you want to register your university transcript as well. Some people are actually graduate nurses, but because they feel if they include their university transcript or in university education, it's going to delay the process for them. So some actually leave it out and some add it. So it's the same pathway for everybody.
And you will be eligible to apply for the critical work permit visa.
Of course, because you are writing the same exam, whether you're a diploma nurse or you're a graduate nurse, it's the same exam or the same adaptation, and it's the same NMBI board that registers everybody. So you get your critical skills work permit and you can use that to bring your family as well.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Emmanuel, you can ask your question now. Emmanuel, you can ask your question.
Good evening. Thanks for the presentation. I really appreciate you for breaking it down for us. What I want to ask is, concerning the preparation for the OSCE, is your hospital or is there any provision that will be made for people coming in to prepare adequately for the OSCE? Then, because I started the process, I'm on EAR, so I don't know whether I start applying for jobs now or I should wait, because most jobs I'm seeing, they are asking for DL. So I just want to just confirm from you. Thank you.
Okay. For now, I said there are jobs. So there are actually agencies that are interviewing people with EAR. A lot of people, they interview a lot of people with EAR. Actually, I currently have some links to some agencies that are interviewing people with EAR and EAC, because they believe you'll soon get your decision letter, and because they need nurses now. So they will interview you and sometimes send you a job offer and wait for you to get your deal and then complete the process for you. So you can actually do interviews. You can search, you get a lot of interviews during interview. Some people even conduct interviews weekly now. For EAR, you just need to screenshot your NMBI page to them to show them that you are in EAR or EAC level, and they'll interview you. Then talking about preparation, OSCE preparation, currently the NMBI does not train, they don't approve any training institution or any training body for the NMBI for the exam. They will only tell you to go to the website and read what is there for the exam, unlike other countries that will bring you in. So what some agencies do is once they give you the job offer, some of them in-house, some of them do some in-house training for you. And then also as nurses here in Ireland, some of us come together to teach or to train ourselves. I've been a beneficiary of such groups. So, but the thing is, for you to be admitted into the groups, you need to send a proof of your exam dates, because they don't just want people to just join anyhow. So once you are booked up, you can be added to the group. You don't have to send a proof of your dates. Okay, this is the date I'm writing my exams, and then you'll be added to the group. So every day we train, they do the training, we train ourselves. That's how people like us were able to train for the OSCE and we're able to pass it. So that is what we do in-house, but it's not as if the NMBI approved anything. But they'll just tell you, go to the website and read what is there. They believe what is there is sufficient, and really it is sufficient. The only thing is for you to be able to appropriate it is what you may not know if you don't train with people. So that is it.
All right, thank you, Bukola. Next person, Dan Huwen.
All right. Good evening. Thank you for the lecture. I have two questions. The first is the visa that you're going to be giving. What's the duration? Is it like maybe 3 years, 5 years, or what's the duration of the visa that they're giving you? And the second is, prior to arrival, is there arrangement for some maybe temporary accommodation? And how long would that be if at all they are doing that? Or you have to make your arrangement for accommodation here in Nigeria before you travel? Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So for the visa from Nigeria, the visa you're going to be given from Nigeria is based on something they call AWS or ATWS. They call it atypical working scheme. That atypical working scheme is just like a temporary work permit. It only allows you to apply for an entry visa to come into Ireland and write your exam. So it's only valid for 3 months. That is part of the reasons why you can bring in your family. So within the 3 months, you're expected to have passed your exams and then register with the NMBI. Then your employer will apply for the critical skills work permit for you within that 3 months. And once you have your critical skills work permit, you now have to go to the immigration for an extension of your visa. And then they'll give you a stamp 1. That's when you get the Irish residence permit, is stamp 1. So the stamp 1 now is valid for the first 2 years, because your critical skills work permit is valid for 2 years. So that stamp 1, you hold it for 2 years, though you have to renew a year and a year within the 2 years. But once you're able to complete the 2 years, then you are eligible to get a stamp 4. That is one good thing for nurses. While other people get maybe like stamp 1G and they have to stay on it for 5 years before getting a stamp 4. For nurses, you just need to stay on stamp 1 for 2 years and then you get your stamp 4. With stamp 4, you don't need a work permit again to be a resident in Ireland. You can work, you can even do as many jobs, you can set up businesses and everything. That is the advantage of stamp 4. So that is how the stamps go. Then, is there any other question I didn't answer?
I think you've answered both questions. And
they
asked, accommodation, is it made arrangement here in Nigeria?
Yeah, for accommodation, it depends on your agency. It depends on the agency bringing you in. Some agencies usually provide free accommodation for like maybe a month, 2 months, or 3 months, while some agencies will tell you that they can only provide accommodation for 1 month. They believe within that 1 month after passing your exam, you should be able to pay your house rent, while some will tell you that you should come in with so amount of money in case you don't pass your exam at one sitting and you have to write the second attempt. That will delay your registration and your payment as well. So they will just tell you to prepare, while some will tell you, okay, we can still accommodate you for 2 months or 3 months. So it basically depends on the agency bringing you in.
All right, thank you for that. Next question is from Olaitan Suleiman. Can you unmute yourself, please? Olaitan Suleiman, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, good evening.
Good
Thank
evening.
you for the presentation. My question goes this: for IELTS, what band do we need? Because I think I missed that part for
Okay,
the
so
registration. Thank you.
I mentioned that for IELTS, it's a minimum of 6.5 in any one component and 7 in the rest, overall of 7. So that means you can have just one 6.5 in any component, but the rest has to be 7 or above, then overall of 7. And for OET, minimum of C in just one, then B plus in the rest. So that's how it is.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Idara Itwen. So sorry if I missed that name, if I mispronounced it. Idara.
Okay, good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Did I pronounce the name well?
Idara Itwen.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you.
So I have 3 questions. First, I want to ask about the notarization. Like, I don't really understand the process because I've registered with NMBI, but I don't really understand how to go about the whole notarization process. And then I downloaded the employer form. I don't really understand what the form is all about. Then also, is it also possible to upload and save all your documents to ensure you have all the documents ready before you pay for the verification fees, Abby? Then how do you also know when a document should be notarized? Which document you should notarize?
Okay, so basically the documents that you are downloading from the page to give to people, like your employer's form, your qualification forms, that is coming directly from them, does not need to be notarized. But the documents that is coming from you, your international passport, the transcript from your school, your verification does not need, because Nursing Council is going to send it directly to them. Then from your school, it depends. If some schools don't give the transcripts to students, they prefer to send it. If they want to send it, it's okay. Just give them the address of the NMBI. Let them send it by courier. Once they receive it, once the NMBI receives it, they will upload it and you'll see it on your status that they've received it. But the other ones, like if the school is giving you the transcript, you can notarize it since you're collecting it to show that it is the original copy of what they have given you. You didn't do anything, you didn't manipulate anything. You want to be sure. Now, to notarize documents, there is a list of those who can notarize documents on their page. Notary public, lawyer, commissioner of oaths, and the rest. But I'll advise that you use a notary public, because for somebody like me, I used a lawyer, just a lawyer, not a notary public, but they still queried me that it's not properly notarized, because a lawyer would just use the normal MBA stamp, but notary public, they have a particular stamp they use. So it's better you use it to avoid queries. Some will allow it slide, while some may not. Some assessors will tell you you have to renote. So, but what I did was I just explained to them, I sent back the form to them that these are the people that they listed, so they had to accept that from me. But the other documents I did, I used the notary public. So what you just need to do is take those documents, your birth certificate, your international passport, your transcripts, which you are receiving from your school, from your schools, if they give it to you, if they give them to you rather, take it to a notary public, make colored photocopies, then take it to a notary public. The notary public knows what to do. They will stamp it, they will, just to show that this is a certified copy of the original. That is what the notarization is all about. So all you need to do is to take it to them. They know what to do. They'll attach the stamp, and that's all. And then sometimes for some people, if Nursing Council is sending their verification or their schools are sending the transcript directly, some people usually, once the NMBI uploads it, some people usually download it again to go and notarize and re-upload it, just to avoid queries. Sometimes they just let it slide since they're receiving it directly. And sometimes some of them will say, oh, this is not notarized. So just to avoid that, some people used to download, notarize, and re-upload. So it depends on who is assessing you and whether you are receiving, whether your assessor is okay with it. But once you see submitted on your status, that means all your documents are submitted. They will assess it. But if it goes back to incomplete, that means there is something they still want you to send. They will send you a mail to let you know that this is what they are still expecting, or this thing that you uploaded is not correct, or is not okay, or the image. Some people upload things and the image is not clear. They will tell you that the image of so document is not clear. You need to re-upload it or something like that. So I don't know whether I answered your question.
Yeah, I think you did justice to that. So the next person is Chika Felicia. Chika Felicia, you can unmute yourself.
All right, thank you very much. Good afternoon from here. I want to just ask about the G3. I'm presently not in Nigeria, so I want to find out if I will still have to choose the G3, because you mentioned something like if you are in Nigeria. So I don't know if that applies to people who are presently not in Nigeria. Thank
Are
you.
you registered in Nigeria? Are you using nursing registration from Nigeria?
Yes.
If you are using your nursing registration from Nigeria, then you are still G3.
Okay. Okay. I just want to verify that. Okay.
Okay. The next person is Bukola Ojeleke. You can unmute yourself.
Good evening, sir.
Hi, good
Can you hear
evening.
me?
Yeah,
Good evening,
clearly.
ma. Please,
Yes,
ma,
we
I
can
want
hear
to get clarification on the study visa. I'm actually offered an admission from one of the university over the MTU. I don't know if you know of it. And resumption is by September. I just want to find out, I want you to give me clarification on how it is over there by transiting from after the education to fully registered nurse over there.
So you're
Okay, what
basically
course
going in to study nursing, degree
Yes,
nursing.
exactly. I'm migrate.
Okay.
I want to use study pathway to migrate to Ireland.
Migrate to Ireland, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
studying?
The BSc on the top of continuing education.
Top of,
Yeah.
okay, top of what for one?
For 1 year, yes, for 1 year.
Is it the top? Okay, so from the information I gathered, the top up does not make you eligible to register as a nurse with the NMBI. You have to do the process. So
Okay.
for people, for what if you want to come in through the education pathway to do the top up, and you can stay within your because you have 2 years post study to stay within the country to work. You have 2 years grace. So if you feel okay, you need that BSc top up, you will not be able to register as a nurse. But while you are doing it, you can start your registration in the process from Nigeria, start the NMBI process and everything, so that within your 1 year and the remaining 2 years, you have extra to stay, because by then you're on stamp 1G, you are not on stamp 1.
Okay.
For students, no, students stamp 2. Yeah, students is stamp 2, not even a stamp 1. Student 2. So by then, either 1G or stamp 2, I'm not so sure now, but I think it's stamp 2. So, but by then you can start your registration from Nigeria, so that within the 3 years now, because you have 3 years to stay now, you can complete your registration and then register and stay back. Because by the time you complete your registration, you get a stamp 1, then you can stay back.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Bukola. The next person is Unstoppable. Can you unmute yourself, please? Unstoppable.
Okay, yeah, students are on stamp 2. Yeah. Somebody just, yeah, Grace, thank you very much. Thank you, Grace. Thank you. Grace is my colleague here in Ireland, and she's here as well. So thank you, Grace Nuga.
Yeah, Grace Nuga, big shout out to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for your time and the beautiful presentation. I am Lucky by name. Though part of my question has been answered in the course of attending to other questions, but I still have a few other questions to make inquiry on. And one of it is about we've talked about the accommodation. What about the what is it called, the air ticket and some other reforms has been done by UK? Maybe same thing is applicable to Ireland. That's the first question. And then the second question is about the degree and the diploma program. I want to ask if there is any advantage of making application with degree over using ordinary diploma. Those are my two questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Nurse Lucky. Okay, you're talking about reforms. It depends also on agencies. For some agencies, once you're able to have your DL, they will help you get a job, and then your employer will pay. If you are writing exam, The exam fee is 2,800 euros. The employer will pay for that. From Nigeria, they'll book the exam for you. While you're in Nigeria, they'll just send you. Sometimes they book it directly. Sometimes they send you the receipts that they have paid. And then they also pay for your AWS working scheme. That is 250 euros. While you're in Nigeria, they'll pay for that and do it for you. You just need to send them a letter of authorization to collect it on your behalf, and they'll send it to you in Nigeria. Then when you now come in, they will also pay for your critical skills work permit, which is another 1,000 euros. Your employer will pay all this through the agency. That's depending on your contract. Now, for some agencies, they will refund your flight fee and your registration fee, that 350 euros you paid from Nigeria to start your registration. Some agencies will refund it back to you once you are here with your flight fee. For the agency I came in with, they refunded 500 euros for flights and the 350 euros. So they refunded 850. But some agencies are actually paying as much as 800 euros for flight fee. They will refund it to you while you are here. So that is the kind of refund. So it depends on the agency and it depends on your employer. So that's why you need to read your contract and know what your contract says to be able to know what they are going to cover for you and what they are going to refund as well. While some agencies will tell you to run everything with your money from the beginning to the end till when you pass your exams, then they'll refund all the money to you in bulk. Some can pay maybe 5,000 or 6,000 euros, depending on the agency. So that is what they do. Then what's the second question?
The second question is about advantage of is there any advantage of
So yeah, if you're coming in, whether as a diploma nurse or as a graduate nurse, your pay, regarding your pay, there is no difference. It's just a years of experience that will speak for you. If you have 20 years as a diploma nurse and somebody is coming in as a graduate nurse and has just 2 years, you earn more. But where your diploma or BSc will have an advantage is when you want to further your education or where there are some positions that are available. Like if you come in as just a diploma, you have to do your BSc before you can say you want to do MSc or further. But for those who have BSc, it's easier for them because they usually do some state-funded some kind of program that they can sponsor you to further your education. It's part of their continuous education, whatever. When you are doing interview, when you ask them, they will tell you that they usually do it. So you cannot, from a diploma, say you want to apply for BSc, for MSc rather, you have to do your BSc first. So that is just where the difference comes in, that when those grants are available and you're a graduate nurse already, you can start your MSc. But if you are not, you have to start with BSc here. That's just the difference.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, Andy, you can ask your question now. Just unmute yourself and ask your question. Okay, Blossom, over to you. You can ask your question, Blossom.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Nurse Bukola, for the presentation. I want to ask, what is the difference between the CBT test and the adaptation test over there?
Okay, so CBT is basically just a theory exam. So it's just that we don't call it CBT here, we just call it theory. So it's just a theory exam, while adaptation is something you can do, like the option of your registration, either between the exam, that is the RCSI aptitude test, or adaptation. Now, with CBT, which is the theory we call it, makes up RCSI, because RCSI exam is CBT, and OSCE. That is what makes up the aptitude, the exam, the RCSI aptitude test. While adaptation is another pathway on its own for registration, where you have to spend 6 weeks under a preceptor and they will assess you. That is what adaptation is about. So CBT is basically a part of the exam, while adaptation is on its own, 6 weeks.
Yeah, so Juliana, you can ask your question now. Juliana, unmute yourself and ask a question.
Hello.
We can hear you, Juliana.
And thank you for the presentation. My question is on the employment form. How do one calculate the hours and the ward in which one working?
Okay, that one is quite easy because what they just need from you is how many hours you work in a week. If you tell them 40 hours is okay, because here the hours they work in a week is 39 hours. So, but if you do more, you can say this is the number of hours, but they just need something to show that it's of standard with what they have here. So let's assume in your hospital, you can calculate your shift in a week. How many days do you work in a shift and how many hours do you work? You can calculate, but it must not fall short of 39 to 40 hours. Let's say 40 hours is to be safe. It mustn't fall short of 40 hours we do in a week, because we do 39 hours here in a week. Now, talking about your ward, they just need you, for instance, you're in a medical surgical ward. They need you to say just few things on your responsibilities in that ward. They don't need you to say much. A lot of people used to have issues with filling it, but it shouldn't give issues, because what you do as a nurse in that ward is just what they expect you to write, your roles and responsibilities, and they are not expecting you to write much, just few things on what you do in that ward. That is what they're expecting.
Thank you.
Ben Abolarin, you can ask your question. And please, by the way, if they have answered your question, probably someone have already asked a similar question. You don't need to ask the same or repeat the question again. So, Bolarin Ben, you can ask your question now.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks to the presenter. I came very late for the Zoom meeting, and I think I'm very sorry for that.
No. You don't need to be sorry for that, Ben. We actually started late, so
Okay,
we have our own. But however, Ben, wait a minute. However, we've recorded the session, right? So we're going to upload it on the YouTube and share it on the Telegram page, so you can catch up. And this is part 2. This is part 2. There is part 1 session we did a couple of weeks back. So you can watch part 1 and then repeat this session as well. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah, so have that in mind.
Okay, no problem. Thank you for the information. Probably I know you might have mentioned this, but I don't know. I want to ask, what is like their salary for the RN after tax? That's my first question. The second question is, if someone wants to move from UK to Ireland, what is the process? Then about the transcript, you know, when we talk about transcript, we have 2 types. We have student type, we have official type. Must it be official type? So I think that's all. That's just it. The other question has been answered.
Okay.
Yeah, then probably what is the tax rate? You know, for example, in UK, the tax rate is 20% for your first job. What's the tax rate over there?
Okay, so I actually mentioned the tax rates. You've talked about salary. There's a range, there's a scale for it, and I shared it previously in the presentation. So probably when you go back, you can see it. But for a staff nurse, depending on your years of experience, it's between 31,109 euros to 47,931 euros. So it depends on your level of experience, and there's long service increments as well. So for the tax,
after tax, right? Is it after tax or before tax?
Gross. That's gross. Now for the tax, it's actually similar to that of UK, but there's something they call tax credit certificate, because it's going to be difficult for me to say this is what you get, because it depends on your years of experience. So they usually calculate it. They'll calculate it for you and give you your tax credit certificate. So once you receive your tax credit certificate, you see the breakdown of everything, how they remove your 20% and everything, because sometimes they even remove up to 40% on a portion of the income, because there's a way they calculate it so much so that if you reach a level of pay that is so high, there's a way they will kind of take 20% of a portion of your income and then 40% of the rest. So there's a way they calculate it. I'm not a revenue person. So everybody will give you that tax credit certificate where you can actually see the breakdown. And then if they remove more than what they are supposed to remove, you can recoup it back through tax rebates. There's a way you can apply from that your same revenue. You can get back whatever they remove from you that is excess. They will return it back to your account. So that's what they do. Then what else?
Process if you want to migrate from UK to Ireland.
It depends. Migrating as a Nigerian nurse, like you are not ready. If you are not registered in the UK, you want to register from, like, you are a registered nurse from UK, it's still G3. But if you are migrating as a UK nurse, then I think you are in G2 or some, either G1 or G2. But that one, if it is with your UK RN, they don't do education assessment. It's just administrative, because I think their standard is quite similar. So I think they do that. Then probably later on, you can also do your RCSL or something. I'm not really clear about that. But I know that it is not G3 if you are from UK. If you are a UK registered nurse, it's no longer G3, because it's still the European EAA stuff. So it's either G1 or G2 that you're coming in through. And the process is not as long as it's going to be if you're coming from Nigeria. Then which other one?
I asked about transcript. So would they accept student copy or they want official copy?
It's the official copy. It's the official copy of your transcript.
Okay.
That they will accept, not student copy. Yeah.
No problem. Okay, thank you for your time. I'm very grateful.
Ifunaya Rose, I think you're next. So let's make the questions snappy so we can end the session as soon as we can. Ukuli Ifunaya Rose, you can unmute yourself. Okay, Uche, over to you. Uche, ask your question, please. Uche, unmute yourself.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Thank you for the presentation. To ask, when you get to Ireland before the exam, the registered Muslim.
I didn't hear what Uche is saying. I don't know if anyone got what Uche is saying.
Absolutely, we didn't get that. Okay, so Isaac, can you ask your question? Isaac.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening, everybody.
Yeah, we can hear you, Isaac. Go ahead with the question, please. Good evening.
Okay, thank you for the nice presentation. Please, my question is one and simple. Well, I want to find out the academic duration for a RN nurse to BSc. Is it like the same in Nigeria that after RN you have to enroll in university for like 3-4 years? Or how long would the RN obtain BSc in the university over there? How long would it take? Thank you.
So it depends on the program you're enrolling into. If you want to do as RN with years of experience, you can actually just do the top up to get your BSc, just like people are coming in from Nigeria to do a top up for their BSc, because you are working as well. So you cannot afford to spend so long in school. So if your employer agrees to it, you can actually do the one that is shorter for you and then get your BSc so that you can move on with your career and some other things you want to do. Then, is there any other question?
Yes, there's a question from Joy Osarenti. Joy. Joy, can you ask a question quickly?
Okay, good evening. Okay, I have 2 questions. Okay, the first one is, if the names on my certificate, if there's a mix up in it, maybe the first name coming before that's the middle name, and then the other way around on the other certificate, how do you go about it? And secondly, about the employment form, if I'm still working in the same establishment till date, should I pick a date or I should just write till date?
Okay, so
That's
let me
my
start with the
question.
last till date. If you're still working there, just till date, then what's the one you asked previously? Sorry. What's the previous question? Please, somebody help me.
Yeah, apparently I didn't catch the question. I was a bit distracted.
Okay, please, can you ask again?
Can you just raise your hand again and then I'll mute you because she's not on the list. Okay, so what did you catch any of our questions? Do you want to answer any of our questions? If not, let's just proceed.
The last one was the one I
okay,
caught
yeah,
quickly.
she's back. She's back.
Okay, yeah, she talked about names, the way she arranged her names in her documents. One
Yeah.
document
Yes.
is different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yes.
for that,
How do I go?
to avoid queries, it depends on the document. If it is your marriage certificate, you can actually probably get an affidavit or birth certificate or something. Get an affidavit and an evidence to show that, okay, this is how my name should be arranged. There's a mistake in so documents, and then have a backup to show that this is the correct arrangement, probably from your international passport. Because if there's going to be any problem with your name, at least your international passport should have the right name. So you should be able to use that as evidence, and then explain also in a mail to them that this is the issue, this is my name on so document is different for so reason. And then if they need you to send any document to show for it, they will tell you.
All right. So the last question is from Darren. Darren just asked a question. Darren, can you ask your question? Just unmute yourself and ask.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening, Darren.
Good evening.
Yeah, just go ahead with your question.
Okay, sorry, I want to get a scope for Ireland because it is quite lower to that of UK.
Okay, so sorry, Darren, your network is a bit is like breaking, so we can't catch you. But if you came in late, we're going to record this section and then you can watch this section on the YouTube channel. So I've recorded for you to catch up. And this is the part 2. There is part 1 that you can actually watch. So Uche is back. Uche, can you just unmute yourself and ask your question?
Okay, good evening. Sorry about the other time.
It's all right.
Okay, I want to find out, entering into Ireland, can you work as a pre-registered nurse before you get your license or before you do your exam, like the way they do in the UK?
Okay, so pre-registered nurse, before you do your exam, you cannot work because you are not yet a registered nurse. But if you are coming in and you feel, okay, I don't want to go through the stress of the nursing registration for my country, you can actually work as a healthcare assistant, as a nurse, while you are in the process of your nursing registration. But if you are coming in with your registration from Nigeria and you have been booked for exam, you can't work until you have written the exam and passed the exam as a nurse. And then that is when you can work as a nurse.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Bukola. I think that's it. That's all. That's all the questions for today. It's been an amazing session. Bukola, I can't thank you enough. You know how dear you are to me. And I so much appreciate your God-given talent and your commitment, in trying to share information, because I know there are a lot of nurses. There are a lot of nurses in Ireland.
You didn't ask my own.
So I know there are a lot of nurses in Ireland here, but you choose to share your information, and you said you have your colleague here as well, Grace. So
yeah, another person joined in. Sorry, another person joined in. Olabisi, she's also an Irish nurse. I shared the meeting link with them, with the two of them, Olabisi and Grace. Olabisi Toriola is also here. She's an Irish nurse as well. Thank you for joining in, Olabisi. That's Olabisi Ogunaike. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Olabisi. Thank you so much, Grace. And Bukola, a big thank you to you. The part 1 video we did, I think I told you, We have 3,000 views on that video alone, and it's just a couple of weeks back. And I'm sure when I upload this as well, it's going to gain a lot of views. So what is happening in the global space, particularly in the nursing space now, is that a lot of Nigerian nurses want to migrate, but UK is now having like reduced vacancies. I don't know. There are a lot of factors that might be contributing to that. So a lot of people are expressing multiple options, and Ireland seems to be very, very attractive. I mean, in the first session, you talked about the need, not necessarily the need, the importance, or let me say why nurses should actually consider Ireland, considering the fact that it's safe, considering the fact that they're putting your qualification into terms before they sign contract with you, and a whole lot of multiple factors. And I guess that's why a lot of people are actually sharing, willing to gain the information about Ireland. But I know, Bukola, that there is more to this, because a lot of people are still struggling with the applications. I mean, like, this is the best we can do, but I know there's still more to it. So, Bukola, for anybody that is listening to us now, that still find the process very, very difficult, right? What is the advice that you're going to give them? What is the go-to place that you're going to say, okay, go to this place, or okay, do this, or okay, do that? Because a lot of people are going to message me and say they want to have your email, they want to have your contact, and then message you directly, because, they still need that one-on-one assistance.
Yeah.
This presentation is not enough for them.
Yeah. Okay, so for that, actually, for the first presentation, I didn't have my handles then, so I couldn't really do much. So I gave my email then, and a lot of people mailed me. Some people tried to find me on social media. Somehow, someone said, I've been looking for you all over, and I finally found you on LinkedIn. So you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Twitter now, Bukola Adeyemi-Daniel, on Instagram. And then you can also send a message to NGO as well. NGO sends messages to me, and I also respond. So you can reach me on through any of these means. And I also have a group also that I'm also using that means to also mentor people as well. From what you read in my bio, I have a group called Aspire Nurses Network, where I also mentor nurses on the process, and we also do a lot of career coaching as well. So you can explore any of these means to get more information, and I believe we'll all be fine. Last, we will do all right by God's grace.
All right, thank you, Bukola. So I'm going to get your LinkedIn profile. I mean, like your LinkedIn name, and then your Twitter handle, and then the link for people to join your mentorship group. And then I'm going to share it to all the audience, so that anybody that needs further assistance beyond all of this can easily contact you via those platforms. You understand? My own hope is that a lot of people, through the expression of this information on platforms, they are able to gain enough information for them to make critical decisions, particularly when it comes to migrating to whatever country that they want to. There are multiple videos on our YouTube channel for anybody to watch. We have videos on Dubai, UK, United States. In fact, later in the week, May 12th to be precise, we are hosting Decency on migrating for US. So all of this is done just to encourage nurses, and then just to share and demystify information. And Bukola have done justice to Ireland. I can't thank her enough. I keep saying that. So Bukola, thank you so much. And we're going to end the meeting at this point. That's it. So thank you so much, Bukola. Thank you everyone for joining in. Sorry for starting in late. And the record session will be on YouTube. And to Grace and those that joined in from Highland as well, we sincerely appreciate your presence. God bless everyone, and God bless nurses. And happy Nurses Week once again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.